Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. I'm Pallavi Manchanda and with me is Harpreet Kaur bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. First, the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi notes a fourfold jump in foreign tourists in India, emphasizes on special strategy for developing tourist destinations across the country. Foreign ministers of Quad countries reiterate their commitment for sovereignty, territorial integrity and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific region. President Draupadi Murmu inaugurates International Dharma Dham Conference in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. And in cricket, Australia win third test of Border Gavaskar Trophy against India by 9 wickets at Indore. First ever Women's Premier League to begin in Navi Mumbai from Saturday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said the footfall of foreign tourists in India has increased fourfold in January this year as compared to same month last year. Addressing a post-budget webinar on boosting India's tourism potential, Mr. Modi said the tourism has always been part of India's social and cultural civilization. If the country develops more facilities, it will increase tourist footfall. He emphasized the need to profile such tourists and create a special strategy to attract them to the country.
पिछले साल जनवरी में सिर्फ 2 लाख विदेशी टूरिस्ट आए थे, जबकि इस साल जनवरी में 8 लाख से ज्यादा विदेशी टूरिस्ट भारत आए। विदेश से जो टूरिस्ट भारत आ रहे हैं, हमें उन्हें भी प्रोफाइल करके अपना टारगेट ग्रुप तय करना होगा। विदेश में रहने वाले वो लोग जिनमें से ज्यादा खर्च करने की क्षमता होती है, हमें उन्हें ज्यादा से ज्यादा संख्या में भारत लाने के लिए विशेष रणनीति बनाने की आवश्यकता है। ऐसे टूरिस्ट ज्यादा राशि खर्च करके जाएंगे।
The Prime Minister insisted on developing 50 such tourist destinations that every tourist from around the globe would want to visit on a trip to India. He also mentioned developing apps for tourist destinations in all Indian languages and those listed in the United Nations. Mr. Modi said all languages should be incorporated while designing the content for tourism and asked to further modernize tourist apps and digital connectivity. Saying that villages are becoming centers of tourism in the country, the Prime Minister remarked that remote villages are now coming up on the tourism map due to their improving infrastructure. He informed that the central government has started the Vibrant Village scheme for the villages situated along the border and emphasized the need to support businesses including homestays, small hotels and restaurants.
हमारे दूर सुदूर के गांव टूरिज्म के मैप पर आ रहे हैं। केंद्र सरकार ने बॉर्डर किनारे पर बसे जो गांव है, वहां वाइब्रेंट बॉर्डर विलेज योजना शुरू की है। ऐसे में होम स्टे, छोटे होटल, ऐसे अनेक बिजनेस के लिए लोगों को ज्यादा से ज्यादा सपोर्ट करने का काम हम सबको मिलकर के करना है।
Mr. Modi also highlighted the basic challenge of the tourism sector and pointed out the lack of professional tourist guides. He stressed on promoting school and college trips to the Northeast so that more people become aware and start developing infrastructure and facilities for tourists. Prime Minister Modi will address the post-budget webinar on infrastructure and investment, improving logistics efficiency with PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan on Saturday through video conferencing. The government is continuously increasing budgetary allocation for the development of world-class infrastructure. This year's budget is a reflection of this vision. Significant budgetary allocation for capital expenditure has been earmarked for infrastructure development. Road transport and highways and railways are the key target areas. The foreign ministers of the Quad member countries have reaffirmed their commitment to supporting a free and open Indo-Pacific, which is inclusive and resilient. The foreign ministers held the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue or Quad in New Delhi on Friday. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar chaired the meeting, attended by the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong, and Japan Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi. In a joint statement, the leaders reiterated their support to the principles of freedom, rule of law, sovereignty and territorial integrity, peaceful settlement of disputes and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific region. The leaders also reaffirmed their support to the region through practical cooperation on contemporary challenges such as health security, climate change, clean energy, transition, critical and emerging technologies, infrastructure, connectivity, maritime security and counterterrorism. Speaking at the event, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said the leaders agreed on a counterterrorism working group and the issue of terrorists should not be politicized.
We agreed on a counter-terrorism working group. We agreed on cooperating more closely with the Indian Ocean Rim Association. We agreed that we had earlier worked out a HADR initiative, so the standard operating procedures for that, which I think the military people would obviously see as a prerequisite for their cooperation. I think we coordinated on the UN to make sure that, the processes of the UN are respected and, the workings of the UN stay true to its spirit.
Dr. Jaishankar said Quad is working successfully because its origins lie in common good and it reflects innate virtue. He also informed that all 4 nations supported the reform of the United Nations. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said, for Quad, the future is Indo-Pacific and the group is rightly focused on what is happening in Ukraine. Mr. Blinken added that Quad is not a military group and it is working on things that are really critical. Japanese Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi also reiterated that Quad is not a military grouping. He said that Quad does not try to exclude anybody, including China.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Friday held bilateral meetings with foreign ministers of different countries on the sidelines of Raisina Dialogue in New Delhi. In his meeting with Sweden Foreign Minister Tobias Billström, they noted the steady progress in bilateral relations and regular contact in the India, Nordic and EU formats. The two leaders discussed technology, sustainability and economic collaboration. Dr. Jaishankar also met Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia, Faisal bin Farhan, and appreciated Saudi Arabia's support in the G20. They also discussed global developments. A productive discussion was held during Dr. Jaishankar's meeting with Foreign Minister of Australia, Penny Wong. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said the regularity of contact reflects the convergence in the two countries' view. He said India looks forward to an exciting 2023 in India-Australia relationship. The minister also had a meeting with his Egyptian counterpart, Sameh Shoukry. Dr. Jaishankar also met with Foreign Minister of Japan, Yoshimasa Hayashi, in New Delhi. Both the leaders discussed the progress made in the bilateral relationship and their cooperation in third world countries. During his meeting with Foreign Minister of France, Catherine Colonna, both the nations agreed to coordinate more closely on global and multilateral issues. They also reviewed their bilateral relationship. Dr. Jaishankar also met with Foreign Minister of Singapore, Vivian Balakrishnan, Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, Dr. Abdul Momin, and Foreign Minister of Oman, Syed Badr al-Busaidi. Besides, Dr. Jaishankar on Friday handed over the IBSA Handover Report 2023 to Brazil. He said India-Brazil-South Africa partnership will continue to work for the concerns of the Global South. A high-level Canadian delegation led by its Premier Scott Moe called on India's Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh in New Delhi on Friday. Cooperation and joint ventures in areas like electric vehicles, cyber physical system, quantum technologies, future manufacturing, green hydrogen fuel, deep ocean mining were discussed during the meeting. Welcoming the delegation, Dr. Singh said, a 23 lakh strong Indian diaspora is reinforcing Indo-Canadian relations and contributing to the development of both the nations. He said India has one of the largest diaspora in Canada and it has achieved success in all walks of life. The minister said the diaspora, which contributes positively to both countries, would be a good bridge between the two nations, as Canada is one of the most favored destinations for Indian students for higher education.
India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Friday talked with his Israeli counterpart Yoav Gallant over phone. During the conversation, Mr. Singh emphasized the government's priority for indigenization and domestic manufacturing of defense equipment under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. He acknowledged the cooperation of Israeli industries towards nurturing a vibrant and world-class defense manufacturing ecosystem in India. He invited Israeli industries to deepen their investments in joint ventures with Indian companies. Mr. Singh expressed pleasure at the signing of some important MOUs between India and Israeli companies during the recently concluded Aero India 2023. The Defence Minister of Israel highlighted the positive role played by India in the region and conveyed his government's keen interest in enhancing the strategic partnership between the two countries. Both the ministers affirmed their commitment to further deepening of bilateral defence relationship under the framework of vision statement adopted last year. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on India-Italy ties on the upswing.
India and Italy are ancient civilizations but young states, Italy having been reunified only in 1861. These two ancient civilizations have known, interacted and traded with each other for over 2,000 years. Modern-day contact between the two nations were formed through exchanges between intellectuals from both sides. Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore visited Italy in 1926 on the invitation of Carlo Formici, a professor of Sanskrit at the University of Rome. Mahatma Gandhi visited Rome in 1931 on his way back to India from the Round Table Conference held at London. Leaders of the Indian freedom struggle read the works of the Italian revolutionary Mazzini of early 19th century, who worked for a democratic republic of Italy. Indian troops serving with the British Indian Army were active in Italy during the World War II. Political relations between India and Italy were established in 1947. The two countries enjoy cordial relationship. There has been a regular exchange of visits at political and official levels between both countries. Italy is among India's top 5 trading partners in the EU and the 12th largest investor in India. The balance of trade has been in India's favour since the early 80s. Bilateral trade witnessed a strong growth till 2007 before the worldwide recession of 2008 led to a marked slowdown in Italian economy, which had an adverse impact on bilateral trade. Principal items of Indian exports to Italy are ready-made garments, leather, iron ore, motor vehicles, textiles, chemicals, gems and jewellery. Main items of import from Italy are general and special-purpose machinery, machine tools, metallurgical products and engineering items. Around 140 large Italian companies are active in India. Prime Minister of the Italian Republic, Ms. Giorgia Meloni, paid a state visit to India from 2nd to 3rd March 2023. She was accompanied by Italian Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani and a high-powered business delegation. This was also the first bilateral VVIP visit from Italy to India after 5 years. The last prime ministerial visit from Italy to India took place in October 2018. Prime Minister Meloni was the chief guest and keynote speaker at the 8th Raisina Dialogue 2023. Ms. Meloni was accorded a ceremonial welcome at the forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhavan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Italian Prime Minister Meloni held discussions on bilateral, regional and global issues. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar called on Prime Minister Meloni. The visiting Prime Minister also called on President Draupadi Murmu. India and Italy are celebrating 75 years of establishment of diplomatic relations this year. The multifaceted bilateral relationship is based on shared cultural values, commitment to foster economic growth, collaboration in the fields of green energy, science and tech, defense, and marked by convergence on regional and global issues. The two countries have also been cooperating closely in various multilateral forums. During the visit, a business roundtable was also organized. It was co-chaired by the Italian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Antonio Tajani, and India's Minister of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal. Ms. Meloni described Prime Minister Modi as the most loved leader in the world. The Indian Prime Minister said the two sides have decided to hold joint exercises and training courses between the armed forces of the two countries on a regular basis. He said both India and Italy have decided to elevate their relationship to the status of strategic partnership. Prime Minister Meloni, delivering the inaugural address at the Raisina Dialogue, said India as G20 president can play a key role in facilitating negotiations towards a ceasefire and a just peace. Geographical distance from the Ukraine conflict should not overshadow the relevance of what is at stake. Prime Minister Maloney's visit is expected to further strengthen and deepen the long-standing relationship between India and Italy. Both sides will take stock of the progress of the key outcomes of the November 2020 summit, strengthen security and defence cooperation, work towards closer economic ties, enhance opportunity for mobility of talent, and give strategic guidance to ongoing collaboration in science and technology.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news.
President Draupadi Murmu said India always emphasizes that peace, not war, is the way forward. The President was addressing the inauguration ceremony of the 7th International Dharmadham Conference in Bhopal on Friday. The three-day conference focused on the principle of Eastern Humanism in the new era will conclude on Sunday. More than 350 scholars from 15 countries are participating in this conference. The President said that in recent times, India has been trying to correct many prevailing global perceptions about the idea of progress, development and a fair world order. President further added that in the tradition of a country, religion has occupied a central place in the social system and political activities since ancient times.
The universal appeals of the ideals of Dharma Dhamma, I am sure that they are happy to be in Madhya Pradesh, where Sankchi and Varhut are located. The stupa complexes and Sankchi and Varhut have been great symbols of the eternal Indian message of Dharma Dhamma since ancient times.
Elaborating on Eastern Humanism, the President said that Eastern Humanism believes that blind impulses lead to individual fights and even war between countries. When India proclaims on the global stage that the entire world is but one family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, it proclaims its commitment to Eastern Humanism. The President said that the consciousness of Dharmadham is embedded in the core of India and the foundation stone of humanism rests on Dharma. She said that in the present times, it is everyone's duty to protect and enhance a system based on morality. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated Bola Ahmed Tinubu for winning the presidential elections in Nigeria. In a tweet on Friday, the Prime Minister said that he looks forward to further strengthening India-Nigeria bilateral relations under Mr. Tinubu's leadership.
Prime Minister Modi has conveyed his best wishes on the World Wildlife Day on Friday. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said protecting animal habitats is a key priority for us and India has witnessed good results on this front. He said the year gone by will always be remembered as the year we welcomed cheetahs to our nation. India's Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur has expressed delight at youth getting platforms to convey their ideas. Attending the cultural program of the National Youth Parliament Festival NYPF 2023 in New Delhi, Mr. Thakur urged the country's youth to take the Panch Pran given by Prime Minister Narendra Modi as living principles. He also expressed happiness at women's participation in the NYPF at a larger scale and hoped that they would keep on reaching new heights.
नेशनल यूथ पार्लियामेंट का चौथा संस्करण देश भर के 748 जिलों में 2 लाख से ज्यादा युवाओं ने भाग लिया और उन 2 लाख में से जो 85 सिलेक्ट होकर यहाँ पर आए इनमें से भी 61 युवतियां हैं, बेटियां हैं, जिन्होंने अलग अलग डिस्ट्रिक्ट से स्टेट लेवल पर शानदार प्रदर्शन करने के बाद यहाँ पर आए और इनकी प्रतिभा को देखकर लगता है कि आज का युवा कितना जागरूक है और कितना समर्पित है.
The United States is hosting war planning exercises in Germany for Ukrainian military officers to help them think through upcoming battlefield decisions ahead of the next phase of the year-old conflict with Russia. The multi-day exercises have been carried out at a wargaming facility at a U.S. Army base in Wiesbaden, Germany.
The United States has imposed a new round of Iran sanctions targeting the country's oil and petrochemical sales. The sanctions hit a Vietnam-based company, 2 firms based in China, 2 others in Iran and 1 in the United Arab Emirates, accusing them of involvement in the transport of or sale of Iranian oil and petrochemicals. According to the State Department, the U.S. is committed to significantly reducing Iran's energy exports and will sanction those facilitating its petroleum and petrochemical trade. It will not hesitate to take action against those who try to circumvent our sanctions. Meanwhile, Iran has accused the U.S. of showing bad faith in the talks to negotiate a prisoner swap. Iran had faced an enormous amount of U.S. sanctions since 2018. US-Iranian relations have been further complicated by a crackdown on anti-government protests in Iran and Washington's allegations that Tehran supplied Russia with drones that Moscow used against Ukraine.
The Inception meeting of Civil C20, a working group of G20 summit, will be organized in Nagpur from the 20th to 22nd of March. About 60 representatives of G20 countries, which are members of C20, and about 250 representatives of various civil society organizations in India and invited countries will participate in this conference. Addressing a press conference, Chairman of Indian Cultural Council Relation ICCR and patron of C20 Secretariat, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, said that through the Nagpur Voice initiative, the civil society and NGOs of Nagpur and Vidarbha will get an opportunity to express their views on the global stage through C20. Dr. Sahasrabuddhe, while elaborating the details of three-day C20 meeting, informed that Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, India's Sherpa for G20, Dr. Amitabh Kant, will be prominently present in the inaugural ceremony of C20 meeting, which will be held under the chairmanship of social and spiritual leader Mata Amrita Nandamayi. The representatives attending the C20 meeting will also visit the wildlife sanctuaries in Pench Forests as well as Gandhiji and Acharya Vinoba Bhave's resident places, Sevagram and Pavnar ashrams in Wardha city of Vidarbha. Indian High Commissioner Pranay Verma visited Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's mausoleum in Tungipara on Friday to pay tributes to the father of the nation of Bangladesh. He placed a flower wreath on mausoleum as a mark of respect to Bangabandhu. In his written remarks at the mausoleum, High Commissioner Verma highlighted the historic importance of the month of March in the history of Bangladesh and underlined Bangabandhu's vision for the development of Bangladesh and India-Bangladesh partnership. High Commissioner Verma also took a guided tour of the museum, which showcases Bangabandhu's life and legacy and the supreme sacrifices that he made for the independence and progress of Bangladesh. Bangabandhu's fight for democracy, inclusivity and social justice continues to inspire people across the world. His legacy remains the driving force for India's steadfast partnership with Bangladesh on its journey towards progress and prosperity, said the High Commission of India in Bangladesh.
Anger in Greece over poor railway safety grew as the death toll from one of the country's worst train crashes reached 57. Protesters clashed with police in the Greek capital Athens after a passenger train carrying more than 350 people collided with a freight train. In a televised address after visiting the crash site, Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis said the collision was mainly due to tragic human error. He said the Transport Minister's decision to resign was honourable and added that the heads of Hellenic Railways Organisation and its subsidiary Ergos have also submitted their resignations. Condolences poured in from across the world while a 3-day period of mourning is underway in Greece. The annual St. Anthony's Feast will be held at Kachativu Island in Sri Lanka on Saturday. Indian pilgrims have reached the island to participate in the feast. Arrangements for a comfortable stay of the incoming pilgrims, fishermen and clergy have been put in place by the Consulate General of India in Jaffna. As per the officials, over 2,400 pilgrims have reached the island and an equal number will join from the Sri Lankan side. During the last few years, the feast had lesser pilgrims arriving on account of restrictions under the COVID-19 pandemic. A report from the business desk.
Sensex surged 900 points or 1.53% to end at 59,809. Nifty also added 272 points or 1.57% to close at 17,594. Asian shares rose after Wall Street reversed losses on signals of a measured policy tightening approach from the US Fed Reserve. The rise in stocks was also due to prospects of a solid economic recovery in China. In the Asian markets, most shares ended on a positive note except Singapore Straits Times Index losing 0.1%. Japan's Nikkei 225 surged 1.5%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng rose 0.7%. China's Shanghai Composite Index gained 0.5% and South Korea's Kospi added 0.2%. European shares also registered gains in intraday trade. Oil prices held steady, poised to register a weekly gain. This comes amid renewed optimism on China's demand recovery, overall recession worries over US crude inventories growing and tightening monetary policy in Europe. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $84.50 per barrel. Back home at the multi-commodity exchange, gold futures for April was trading at 55,805 rupees per 10 grams. Silver futures for March was trading at 63,450 rupees per kilogram when reports last came in. And in the foreign exchange market, the rupee appreciated by 63 paise against the US dollar. The domestic unit closed at 81 rupees and 97 paise against the US dollar. Arjun Chowdhury for World News, All India Radio.
In cricket, Australia beat India by 9 wickets in the third test of Border Gavaskar Trophy at Indore on Friday. With this victory on day 3, Australia sealed their World Test Championship final spot. India lead the 4-match Border Gavaskar Trophy series 2-1 with 1 test to go in Ahmedabad, which India will need to win to reach the World Test Championship final. History will be made on Saturday when 5-team Women's Premier League WPL 2023 begins in Navi Mumbai. After years of wait and planning, the Board of Control for Cricket in India BCCI has finally been able to organize the standalone T20 franchise-based cricket league for women on the lines of popular Indian Premier League. The 5 teams taking part in the inaugural edition of WPL are Mumbai Indians MI, Royal Challengers Bangalore RCB, Delhi Capitals DC, UP Warriors UPW and Gujarat Giants GG. India captain Harmanpreet Kaur has been named as MI captain, while opener Smriti Mandhana will be leading RCB's women's team. Australia's successful skipper Meg Lanning will be at the helm of Delhi Capitals, while Beth Mooney has been named as captain for Gujarat Giants. Australian wicket-keeper and batter Alisa Healy is leading UP Warriors in WPL 2023. The first match between Mumbai Indians and Gujarat Giants will be played at D.Y. Patil Stadium, Navi Mumbai at 7:30 p.m. on 4th of March. The tournament final will be played at the Brabourne Stadium, Mumbai on 26th of March.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Washington Post says Nordstrom to close all its Canadian stores, lay off 2,500 workers. The Wall Street Journal writes U.S. exports limits target 28 Chinese entities, citing alleged ties to Iranian military. Japan Times reports Japan drops to 104th in the latest World Bank Gender Equality Survey. The Globe and Mail reports Chinese Foreign Minister rebukes Melanie Joly over election interference allegations at G20 meeting. The Guardian writes King Charles to make first state visit to France and Germany. Financial Times reports U.S. chip subsidies alarm Korean companies with tough conditions. The Straits Times writes ex-Malaysia PM Najib acquitted in second One Malaysia Development Berhad-linked trial.
A quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi notes a fourfold jump in foreign tourists in India, emphasizes on special strategy for developing tourist destinations across the country. Foreign ministers of Quad countries reiterate their commitment for sovereignty, territorial integrity and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific region. President Draupadi Murmu inaugurates International Dharma Dham Conference in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. And in cricket, Australia win third test of Border Gavaskar Trophy against India by 9 wickets at Indore. And first ever Women's Premier League to begin in Navi Mumbai from Saturday. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Bulgaria. And with that, we end this bulletin. We will be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.